here on YouTube. So I've not gone live here on YouTube in a little bit, but I've actually gone live on Instagram. And if you have not seen on Instagram, I've talked about how the problem is that my cameras are being really weird. So I can usually only go live on one platform versus the other. So I've been opting for Instagram. And I actually just went live on Instagram talking about navigating grief during the holidays. So I am going to upload that replay here. And I am going to upload the other one that I did last week as well about moving from love addictive behavior to being more securely attached or more love balanced behavior. So don't worry, that is coming. But for right now, I am going to be talking with y'all about how to be honest with yourself about the things that are hard to look at. So, as a love addict, there are a lot of things that, or love avoidant even, there are a lot of things that, especially if we are self aware and connected to our own personal truths, that can be hard for us to be honest about, because it may make us feel bad about ourselves. It can make us feel really hopeless, like it's not ever going to get better. It can make us feel as if we're so far away from our goal. If we have any negative beliefs about not being lovable, or us be the problem and why things haven't worked out, or we're the reason why abuse or neglect has happened, looking at these hard things and doing this type of self assessment can just equal more self abuse, or it can equal us really reinforcing these negative beliefs that there's something wrong with us. Like there's nothing healing, there's nothing, um, uh, um, what is it? Nothing that uplifts us by looking at these things. If anything, it just makes us feel more beat down. It makes us feel like we're the problem. But here's the thing, for all my beautiful angels listening to this, you hear me say this a lot, and you hear me say it a lot because it's true, that you are worthy of love, that you are deserving, that you are precious, that you are seen, that you are valued. And the person who needs to know that the most is you. And the way that we help you know that is by helping you be able to look at yourself with your own sense of self compassion, self acceptance, and self love. And I think I said self acceptance, right? Like that's the most important one. But for you to be able to truly own everything that you are and own it with grace and mercy and forgiveness and also joy. You know, I think sometimes we can, for those of us who are really learning how to build our self esteem, we can kind of like resign to look at ourselves and be like, okay, well, this is all of me. I guess I gotta accept her. I guess this is all as good as I get. I guess I love myself. And no, 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 no. The energy that we love ourselves is head high, eyes straight, neck forward, shoulders back, with the queendom and with the birthright that we have, right? And I look at all of me. I look at my light parts and I look at my dark parts and I look at the things that are glowing and like warm and shiny, and I look at the things that are a little bit scraggly and wrinkly, and I'm like, wow, like look at this beautiful fully formed woman, look at this soul that I get to embody, look at this body that I get to embody. And you embrace it all, you embrace it all with confidence, and with ease and with flavor and with richness. That is what the feeling of self-love and embodiment looks like and feels like. Okay, so but on our way to get there, there may be some things that we need to be honest about, and there may be some things that we have to look at ourselves for. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about how to be honest with yourself about things that may be hard to look at. I may end up changing the title of this, but here it is. Let's go ahead and jump on in. The first thing that I want you to know, which you may have heard from other people, from your therapist, from your loved ones, from your own intuition and inner voice, is that your areas of growth are not evidence of failure. So the things that are hard for you, whether or not you have a quick temper, or whether or not it's hard for you to show up for yourself at all, and you tend to be someone who tends to be pretty passive, whether or not it is hard for you to stay on track of your schedules, or whether or not you're someone who gets really intense about your schedules, and it may cause a lot of dysfunction that need to be over controlled in other areas of your life. It may cause some problems in your relationships and other things, or even your own stress levels and stuff. But seeing these places of growth, any area of growth that you may want to examine and look at, is not evidence that something's wrong with you. if you've ever heard me talk about the intimacy disorders of love addiction, love avoidance, and love deprivation, and the archetypes within that I teach from, I talk about how all their archetypes, whether or not it's codependence, whether or not it's a serial monogamer, whether or not it is a hopeless romantic for my love addicts, that's the three love addict archetypes, and for my love avoidance, whether or not it's Miss Popular or purpose driven, all of those different archetypes have a glowing strength about them. So for my codependents, you are the most giving, generous, empathic people. You are the healers of the world. You are the world changers of the world. You are the reason why things keep moving and we are not in a complete level of abyss, like world of abyss, right? Because you are able to tune into and empathize and be present for folks. That is a strength that is built for you and that you have and that you embody. The only problem is that something that is good for you and something that is your magic trick, something that is truly special for you, can be used in excess to try to heal a wound on the inside that it didn't create and is not built to heal. And so using that skill and tool incorrectly in excess is what the problem is, not the thing itself. So I think a lot of times things that we may feel ashamed for and that we may be embarrassed about or things that we may try to hide, we may try to, push it down or not let people see the ways that we are imperfect. But those imperfections are truly your superpower. And I know that, these are things that we may hear from folks a lot, and, it can be easy to kind of blow off and not believe, but it's true. So I already gave an example with my codependents. Let's talk about my folks who are really purpose driven. Something that I really emphasize because the majority of people who I end up working with in my coaching program, which by the way, I didn't even introduce myself. Let me finish my point and then I'm going to tell you who I am and what I do here. But most of the women that I work with in my coaching program are like very they're career professionals, right? And so they are busy. They have their 5, 10 year plans. They're usually highly accomplished. They're usually very high functioning and all that. And so one of the ways that they are love avoidant, that they tend to hide from intimacy and relationships and connections, is to be very busy. So they would be very busy either behind their careers, their commitments to other people, all their hobbies and everything, and they would fill up their life, which is great. But they would fill it up so tight that it guarantees that it's hard for anybody to get in. So while there is truth and value and health, true is very healthy to ensure that you have a whole life that is not just built on romantic partnerships or whatever type of relationships you're trying to call in, right? That you are a full, whole person. But for some of us, we jam it so airtight that even if we meet someone that we like, they can't get in. And it gives us this buffer from this type of this fear of being overwhelmed or someone trying to take our independence away and all this other stuff to where it's very hard for us to let folks in. So either one or two things happen. Either we get connected to, well, I guess it's kind of the same thing. We tend to be very all or nothing with that, which is we say see ya to anyone who doesn't um, like the fact that they can't really see us or get access to us. Or we can be connected to someone, and because we don't really have this like flexibility in letting folks in, uh, we may start to drop the things that are important to us. So we may not show up as much in our hobbies, or we may start to adopt the hobbies of the other person, saying, "Well, now I'm just doing a couple time with them, but I'm still being active." You may not hang out with your friends as much. You may not do as many projects at work. And so it's really important to find balance. So, what is the strength there? The strength is not you shaming yourself and saying, which I don't think anyone who's purpose driven would ever shame themselves for this. But if you were, it's not for you to shame yourself and be like, oh man, like I'm too busy to like meet anybody. Like literally, there's no one purpose driven that would ever say that. So this is such a silly example, but just to go with it, the strength is here that you are about your purpose, that you are multifaceted, that you are a woman of the world and cultured, or at least that you have like your core set of friends and you have your routine and stuff like that. This is beautiful. That is absolutely a strength. But that fear of being controlled, that fear of intimacy because you've only had certain forms of intimacy and not that healthy intimacy, So something that's actually a strength of yours is like ramped up. That is what we are looking at. That is what we want to work on. Okay. So know that recognizing these things is not a sign of failure and not a sign of you being broken. It's actually you looking to see, okay, this is something that that is true about me. Either it's currently true or it's going to forever be true. And I think that's something, as I've shared with y'all, especially this year in my own personal journey of healing, is there are some things that I would say and I would qualify and I would be like, well, this is what's true about me right now, but I'm going to find the person, the situation, the program, the prayer, the meditation that's going to get what I perceive to be a failure out. But really, this is a part of me. Whatever the thing was, it was something that is what makes me unique and what makes me special and what adds to my presence and value in the world. But I was rejecting myself. No one else was rejecting me. I was rejecting myself and projecting that onto the world and making up stories about what other people thought and felt that no one ever thought and felt. And because I didn't believe it, it didn't matter how much anyone ever affirmed or, said otherwise, because it was my own personal truth. And so learning how to be honest with yourself is starting to see yourself with that type of unconditional love, which is number two. How to be honest with yourself with things that may be hard to look at is understand that there is an overflow of available unconditional love for you. I'm going to repeat that again. There is an overflow of unconditional available love for you. When you have lived in a world of neglect, of abandonment, of rejection, of abuse, and people who are just broken, putting their brokenness onto you, it makes sense that many of us grow up with this feeling of lack, with this feeling of not trusting that good things can happen for us or do happen for us or that they're here to stay. And so that's where kind of this need to like over control or to deflect and dismiss and to ignore and push things down. That's where a lot of that can come in at. But what if you knew that no matter how dark things got for you, or no matter how yucky some of the things that you dealt with, or how bad some of your insecurities were, or how weak it made you feel, or how silly it made you feel, or you at this big age, you think this about yourself, or you do this about yourself? What if you knew that at that ultimate truth about yourself, that the ultimate truth about the situation is that there's still unconditional, unavailable love for you? Now, I know many of us get this information from our own religious beliefs, right? Whether that is a higher power, some people believe in universe, spirit, and so um, um, memorizing scriptures and things that remind you of God's unfailing love for you, that is an amazing source. And I also can fully relate to being fully connected to God, fully connected to Source, meditating, fasting, praying all day, and still feeling this really deep um, disconnection from the availability of love and that unconditional love. And it was because it was really hard for me to believe that I was good enough. So it's that same thing, like, it is amazing to know that there is deep, true unconditional love available for you. And it's not just I know I started to go down the spiritual route, but it's not just spiritually. you know there are healthy relationships, people, folks, friendships that are going to be your tribe and are going to be your people, right? That they're going to be your family, chosen or blood related. And if you've not ever had access to that before, I'm here to tell you that it is possible for you to have these connections. It is possible for you to get clear on who is not there for you, who is not available for you, and find the people that are, and learn how to pick. I hate to say this because I don't want it to sound um, like blaming of the things that have happened to you, because any abuse, neglect, harm that has happened to you emotionally, physically, sexually, financially at the hands of other people is the blame of those folks. Absolutely, it is 100% their blame. And for some of us who have never had access to this type of healthy love, what can be our part, and that is our part, is to learn how to pay attention to what is healthy love and healthy connection, and only being very clear about only letting those folks in. And I'm here to tell you that once you're able to do that, and once you're able to believe that you're worthy of receiving that, then you can be more open to receiving that and not run when it comes around you and not sabotage it when it comes around you, and also not default to being around people who are just familiar. For some of us, it is so familiar to be with the riffraff. It's familiar, it's comfortable, the drama, like we know the different corners and everything. When we try to put ourselves out there and healthy folks with healthy folks or healthy situations and it doesn't work out, it can be easier for us to either go back to what we knew before because they're always going to answer the phone, they're always going to answer the text. It can be easier to go into our mind and the negative scripts and things that we've told ourselves, that love isn't available for us, that everybody's crazy, that it's better for me to just do life on my own, that, life sucks. These are the thoughts that have kept us warm for decades of our life. And these are also the thoughts that have betrayed us. These thoughts have not made it any easier for us to live life. They have not made it any easier for us to find joy. We have used these thoughts as like a self protective blanket to try to insulate us from when disappointment happens, from when misgivings happen, and thinking that if I am negative enough and um, if I just expect the unexpected, then somehow I am going to be safer. But it doesn't make you any happier. If anything, even if you're expecting what ends up happening, like a failure or something that doesn't go through the way that you want to, you actually don't feel happier. You're not like, aha, I predicted that. I'm so happy I saw that. It's more like reinforcing this negative belief that things are not available for you and that this is just your life. And that will continue to be your life. Um, we all know that whatever we focus on grows. Two people can have the exact same experience, and one person takes the meaning from that experience and says, okay, this was made for me to learn this lesson so that next time I'm going to be that much better. And what can I do differently? What help can I enlist? Where can I learn and grow? And that kind of thing. And another person can go through the exact same event and use that to reinforce this narrative that things do not work out for him or her. And we do not want that to be our truth, okay? Warning that a light is about to come on because it got dark. I forgot that it's dark outside. Hello, this should have been on the whole time, huh? Ah, okay. I'm not gonna mess with that. That should have been on the whole time, girl. Um, so, for those of you who are just joining me, I'm talking about how to be honest with yourself when things are going bad. Or how to be honest with yourself when there are like maybe negative things about yourself, about your situation, about your growth, about your relationships that you've been avoiding looking at, and some things for you to keep in mind. So, I'm two down. Let's talk about the third one. And for those of you who don't know, I said I was going to introduce myself. My name is Sheena Lachey. I'm the founder of Black Girls Heal. I'm a former therapist, now trauma expert. Well, still a trauma expert from when I was a therapist, but now a full-time love addiction and trauma coach. And I help women heal from the symptoms of love addiction, love avoidance, love deprivation, and the trauma that causes it to make way for a healthy love in their life and to build a relationship with the most important person in their life, themselves. And I do that through my weekly podcast called Black Girls Heal and through my coaching program called The Recovery School, which I've taught hundreds of women over the last 5 years. And I help women heal all the symptoms and completely transform their life. You can learn more about that by going to therecoveryschool.com. And these are all the things that I help women uncover, learning how to be connected to their own self-worth, their self-acceptance, and making real change, and change that is not temporary, change that is not related to a New Year's resolution where you get all motivated and then it all goes to crap. But no, it's true change. This past October, I got a chance to go to Charlotte to teach a workshop about reclaiming me. And so maybe parts of yourself that you may have had some disappointment and it's a struggle for you to have hope and to see yourself again. And so I had some alumni students who came there. And one of my students was someone who, she had been going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. She's a caretaker. She may be watching this now. Hey, girl. And just really, had a really bad history of unavailable relationships and people who just really took advantage of her and treated her like an option and just kind of, dragged her through these relationships a little bit. And so now, a year and some change later, she's in a relationship with a person who is the complete opposite of all those things, a long term relationship, right? So you've gone through the honeymoon period, through all the different, moments that are like change time for this person to switch up, right? And has consistently pursued her, been emotionally available, supported her as she has been a caretaker for family members and that are ill, family trauma and everything, in addition to her own full time job. And she was talking about Sheena before this program. One, I didn't even think that this was possible, and two, I would not have ever been able to receive this relationship. I would have completely sabotaged it. So thank you. So these are the types of things that we do there, and helping her with her own boundaries with navigating all this dysfunction in family relationships. Every single wherever you go, there you are. So whether or not you ended up joining this program, for those of you who would like to work together, whether or not you join this program to only improve your own self-esteem and heal through unresolved trauma that continues to affect you, it will affect your career life. It will affect your romantic life. It will affect your friendships. It will affect, I think I already said your family life, but it's going to affect all those things. If you come in because your relationships are out of whack, it is going to affect your family relationships. It is going to affect your self-esteem because all these things are connected to yourself. So if you like this platform, if you really enjoy and find a lot from the things that I teach here, I really encourage you to check out the Recovery School, especially during the holiday season. It would be a really great time for you to start to uncover these things and also heal them. The women who join my program find results and find healing within the first few months of coming. They start to see their goals be met within the first few months of joining the program. So I'd love for that to be you. And you can find more information by going to therecoveryschool.com. So, the last thing for you to keep in mind, to be honest with yourself, is to understand and acknowledge that your growth and your healing is part of the process. Okay. So, some of us really want things to happen immediately and right when we decide to get things going. And to be honest with yourself about the things that may not be as pleasing and as acceptable to you, understand that acknowledgement is the first step. By just you looking at it and you deciding that this is something that I want to work on, you've already started to create change. So I think sometimes people have dread because they're like, if I look at these things that I've been avoiding this whole time, it's going to make everything bigger and it's going to make it so much more real, and I just don't have the energy or strength to deal with it. But the truth is, you're already dealing with it. Whatever you're trying to run from, whatever you're trying to hide from, like I said, wherever you go, there you are. So whether or not you are looking at it dead in the eye, it is still talking to you in the back of your head. It's still running the program. It is still controlling all of your negative thoughts and beliefs. You're still overcompensating by some type of defense mechanism, whether you are aware of it or not, that is keeping you safe. And either you are protecting yourself from failure or from success or from being hurt or being rejected until you heal that trauma, until you heal that negative core belief about yourself, until you heal the ways that you try to run from yourself. Is always going to be there, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we cannot outperform, we cannot out, you know, beautify, we cannot out earn ourselves out of our own personal work. But again, the it's not that once you start to look at it, these problems get bigger. Once you start to look at it, it actually is the equivalent of, I'm in a room that's like dark and has a whole lot of shadows, and I'm really scared that there may be something in the room. And then once I turn on the light, I see that that figure was just like my jacket on the wall, or it was just a tree that has been there forever. But my brain was playing tricks on me, thinking that it was something dangerous, right? And so, um, this is really important for you to understand. Like, once you shine a light on it, it loses its power, and you're actually able to move forward and make real changes in your life. So being honest with yourself is so important. So if there are any things that you have been kind of neglecting to look at, whether or not it is old conflict with friends, with lovers, with partners, traumas that happened years ago, and you're like, I'm over it. That doesn't bother me. But yet, this trauma still keeps coming up. The breakup still keeps coming up. Negative core beliefs that you have, again, try to outperform, out earn, upgrade, and glow up enough to where those are things that, like, you thought that once you reach this level, that you wouldn't feel these things anymore, but you still do, it's time to pause. It's time to look at them. And it's time to clear this stuff out because you deserve to be free. Okay? So that's all I got for y'all tonight. I'm sending you so much love. Would love to work with you for those who are interested and ready to make that change. And again, you can learn more by going to therecoveryschool.com. And I hope to see you on the other side soon. Take care of yourself. Bye.